being a little.
All right. I believe we're up. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this January 15th meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Calls meeting to order at this time. Invocation, if you don't mind, Mr. Slade.
Yes. If I could. Father, thank you for giving us the breath of life, the privilege to come and to serve our fellow man. This place, Father, this seat of government that you've ordained and established and placed these gentlemen in these seats. Father, I pray that we would recognize and acknowledge that you and you alone are responsible for what happens here today. Father, you control and conduct this. I pray, Father, that we would, in essence, allow our wills, Father, to conform to your will and to your authority. Help us, Lord, to seek your wisdom and your counsel as we make decisions. Father, we thank you that we live in a country, Father, where we still have the freedom to come before you first and foremost, to ask your blessing upon our time. Father, I thank you for the men and women who fight, who stand in the gap to make it clear to anyone who would challenge that this is a place of freedom, that this is a place, Father, of inclusion, that no one is excluded. Father, that anyone can come before their government. Lord, thank you that we have that privilege and a blessing. Help us never to take that for granted. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. All right, public comment. We have Carl Franco.
Good morning. Morning. I have a couple of projects before you this morning. First one is the re-roofing of Central Mississippi Regional Library System, City and RLS building. We are through with the drawings. We would like to get permission to advertise. The cost estimate on that is somewhere around $190,000. What we're doing on that, if you may remember, just to refresh you, that has what we call a flat roof with interior roof drains and a sump pump, and it's been leaking through there, and it's also been leaking at the skylights. And what we're doing is taking off the single membrane roof, which is PVC, and putting a TPO new roof system on it. And what we're doing is we're building up the roof slope with 3 inches of rigid insulation, which will direct the water to the exterior downspouts and gutters. Getting rid of the sump pump. We're replacing the skylights with solid slope roofs on top of them, which will require us to, we're adding new ceiling tile underneath those skylights in the interior and adding some lighting where that natural light was being replaced. We're going to disconnect the mechanical rooftop units, take them off temporarily, rebuild up the roof curbs to provide. That was also an area where they were leaking. And we're going to put the existing units back on because they're in good shape. They're basically 2012 and 2014, which means they're about half. So they've got, good life expectancy, 7-8 years to do. So that's where we're at on that. So I guess our next step would be to get permission to advertise that. I don't know if there's any immediate rush, but it'd be good to go ahead and at least get that in the process, because what happens is we see during every summer, every school system wants to have their re-roofing projects during the summer. So if we can beat them to the schedule, we feel like we'll get a better price, because what happens is all these roofers get tied up planning projects. So if we can get this process going prior to that, we feel like we'll get a better competitive bids on that. So that's the first project. The second one is as you may recall, we're doing a little misdemeanor outbuilding addition. I believe the sheriff has gotten a grant for that. We're talking about a 40 by 30 addition, pretty much open except for a niche of a restroom with a shower. We're looking at a cost of approximately $150,000 to $175,000, which I think is well within the grant money. Is that correct, Sheriff? Yeah, something like that, if I remember. So it's a relatively simple project. It is also ready to go out. We'd like to get permission to bid that project. So those two projects are ready, shovel ready, to go, if the board so chooses.
I'll make the motion to add these two items.
Second.
Motion to add these two items to the agenda by Mr. Bishop, second by, second that, Brad. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion approved.
All right, motion approved by Mr. Bishop, second by Daniel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
The third project, the renovation of the existing chancery or new community building,
Mhm.
we're ready with the drawing, but obviously I think the first step was to have the county do some demolition. So that's kind of what we're waiting on right now to, whenever that's ready, we can finish the bid specs and do advertising for bidding on that project too. But
Have we started it?
Where are we on that, Keith?
Yeah.
We've been in circuit solid for the past 3 weeks, getting that done. The carpet should be completed today, and that will free up the maintenance crew to start on the chancery.
Okay.
So we're good to go.
We really hadn't done anything,
Next
but
week.
we're finishing this one and move over. I got you.
Yeah, we've cleared out. It became a warehouse for anybody and everybody to store things, and all that's been cleared out of the old chancery. So
Where'd you move it all to?
we surplused it.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we're just, when that's done, we'll get back with Keith in the county and then we'll put
Over the
this,
next month, we'll be ready to advertise that.
okay. And then finally, we're trying, we're waiting on the contract. He's got a few things to wrap up on the courthouse. Things that basically, the only reason why they hadn't been done is because he's having trouble getting them due to shipping and COVID. But there's still $1.3 million left in the courthouse contract. That all this will be, we're in the process of meeting with the county staff and trying to resolve any closeout issues. So I would expect the 1st of February, the contractor will be coming forward for closeout, and then we'll have to, we're doing all the days on the schedule and all that kind of thing now. So we'll be ready, I assume, sometime. Yeah, and I'll leave it up to the county to set a table, but come before the board with all the recommendations on all that. So that's where we're at on that.
All right.
Y'all have
Yeah.
any other questions?
I don't even want to get into that building.
It's necessary evil.
Yeah, no doubt.
But that's where we're at as far as I'm concerned on my items.
Hey, Carl, let me ask you one question on the building. Why we got Larry in here right now? 'Cause I know you'll go back and talk to the builders and construction guys today. Larry, is there anything off the top of your head that's just a major item that's not been addressed right now that needs to be addressed? You're seeing it every day. You're in it. So is there something you're seeing that's a major ticket item that's not getting looked at?
Well, I think the most important thing to do is Keith and I get the punch list and let's walk through and see what they've knocked off the punch list. Then we can give you a better, more accurate
Right.
answer. and do
Right.
that. But I think they've accomplished a lot of the things that were on the punch list for sure.
Okay.
And all that, but I'm not sure what all is left on the punch list because,
Right.
so much stuff on there. And I think it'd be appropriate for Keith and I to walk through and just go through the punch list, try to come up with the bottom line is where we are and what we need, how much we got left.
I just
Sounds
want to
good.
be sure we don't miss anything.
I don't think Larry's gonna miss anything.
Larry ain't, I can tell you.
Right.
I can get you a copy of, I can email those to y'all. There were, as you may remember, it was an extensive list, and we've been out there probably a little over half a dozen more times after that, and it's, I don't want to say like it's pulling a tooth, but it's just, some of it's just taking longer than it should have, but some of it is just getting stuff from wherever they get it. There's just been interruptions in the delivery process, so. But I'll get you those lists.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Carl.
thank y'all.
All right, we got one more added on the public comment is Ms. Angela Longmire. Come up. Huh? Ashley, I'm sorry. It is Ashley, my bad. If you would kind of hold it to about 3 minutes or so, whatever you got. Thank you.
My name is Ashley Longmire, and I'm a Rankin County resident, of course. I live at 214 Huntington Hollow. I realize this is just a public comment. I've, of course, emailed all of you, but I just kind of wanted to put it out there that there are, of course, concerns in Pelahatchie that I believe connect to Rankin County, as we're all, Mr. Slay has said before in previous meetings, how this connects everybody in Rankin County. The funds, we're funding a lot of issues in Pelahatchie. The issue that I have is regarding communication. I have asked questions before about who's communicating with who. In Pelahatchie, we have, Rankin County has sent $21,000 to the Pelahatchie Volunteer Fire Department, and I understand why. But what I don't understand is why nobody has communicated with the mayor of Pelahatchie. I've watched the meetings. I have seen board members muttering to each other. I was supposed to call Margie yesterday. Margie Warren is the alderman for Ward 3 of Pelahatchie. So I see in a board meeting where they're discussing quietly, talking to aldermen, but there is no communication with the mayor. I hear that there's no, or I don't just hear, I experience that there's no responses to certain questions that are public questions. I don't understand, just the reason I'm here, I realize a lot of this is municipality issues, but the reason I'm here is that I have seen where there have been people, Pastor Harvey's another example, putting out questions, asking for responses, and there's been no responses that I know of. And I checked to see if I've missed something. We've had multiple rallies regarding the monument. The mayor of Pelahatchie is having multiple situations over there that relate to the county, and yet there's no communication. I've asked if anybody's just talked to them, and I'm told that's a public records request, and I should pay for that, essentially, which I did. I put in a public records request asking for the contract between the county and the volunteer fire department. I've asked to find out if there are any financial records that the volunteer fire department has submitted to the county. If there are, there are. I mean, I hope there are, but I don't understand why the communication is so difficult. It shouldn't be difficult. It should just be a simple, yes, we called the mayor, or we emailed the mayor, or we emailed the board and the mayor. I mean, this just should be an inclusive situation, and that's not what has been happening. And from the outside perspective, I'm not a politician, I'm not an official, I don't, I'm just a citizen, but it doesn't bode well. It doesn't look like Rankin County really wants to include everybody and talk to everybody. It looks like, and I'm not saying it is, but it looks like you have the people that you prefer to talk to, and that's just who you're going to talk to. And when other people ask questions, they go through the bureaucratic situation, but other people get the phone calls, and that shouldn't be the case. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the way it's always been. I'm kind of new to a lot of this. If it is the way it's always been, I hope that changes. And that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. There's no other
Motion
public.
approved minutes.
Huh?
I make a motion approved minutes.
No other public comment. Motion approved the minutes. Mr. Bishop.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, consent agenda.
Motion approved.
All right, I got one thing. We can either take it off D under the issuing checks and dues for training conferences, or we can go and explain it now. I want with some clarity on it. It's the deal with you, Daniel, going
Sure.
to about the SWAT thing.
Mm-hmm.
We can go, that's the only thing I want to.
No, we can take it off, or we can talk about it. Whatever one you
Well,
want.
either way, we're going to talk about it. I'm just saying, we can do it now, if we want to, or.
Sure.
take
What's
it
your
off.
question?
Well, first off,
Where is my consent?
I was curious. I didn't know if we legally could do this.
What's
Well,
the,
with you being a supervisor, is what I'm getting at.
go to a class?
Go to a class and us pay your way to go to the class.
Do we go to classes?
I'm just asking. I'm asking. I'm
I don't
trying,
know.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
To my knowledge, there is no legal prohibition on a supervisor attending a class sponsored or on behalf of the county where it relates to county business. And I would assume that Daniel has a connection to the SWAT team in Rankin County, serves a function alongside that volunteer.
Correct.
And this would be training related to that function.
So,
That's-
yeah,
That's
so-
what I understand.
Absolutely. So what this is our teams have medics on these teams that we provide medical care for those guys if something happens to them. So the point of the training here was to go to their school to kind of incorporate some of the new medical stuff that's out there with our members to keep them safe. But I'm willing to, and I told the sheriff this the other day, it's not a big deal to me. I'll attend the school and I'll pay it myself. It's not a big issue on that side of that. The point of it was to try to get as most current medical training to our guys as we can get them. So they got guys going to the school and they had an empty spot and they said, do you want to go? I qualify to go to the school. I've been on the team before. So I said, sure, I'll go. But if it's an issue on the board paying the $300 for me to go to the school, I can gladly pay my $300 to go to the school. So,
Well, all I was asking is just look from the public's eye, oh, it muffles. Public's eye, I just didn't know if that looked good, and I thought being owned consent, it's kind of like we putting it out under there. That's what I wanted to discuss, where nobody would think, well, y'all just slipped that through there, and that question, why are you paying for a supervisor to go to a
I liken
that?
this to you guys going to MAS.
Huh?
I mean, y'all go to MAS and you've got education, programming, access
Right.
to updated information. The AG's office provides you guys with data at MAS, updates on law, gives you guidance with respect to how you function and do your job. It's very similar to that. We pay for you guys to attend MAS, we pay your lodging, we pay, I think, some meals, if I recall correctly, any mileage that you incur on your personal vehicle. So this is very, very similar to that situation. Daniel, as I appreciate it, has a role. I mean, he is connected to this team, and so this would be education, updated information in furtherance of his role with the SWAT team.
Oh, I don't question any of that. I just question if, I was just wanting some clarity, simple clarity, because if somebody reads this and goes,
sure.
asks why you sending a supervisor,
Well, we
paying for a supervisor.
We might need a medic on the supervisor.
Huh?
Hey, there ain't no doubt we need one for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
And we
anyway,
can, and
that's the
look,
reason.
I don't have a problem taking it off consent
Yeah.
and putting it on whatever agenda you want to put it on.
I don't have to take it off, I just wanted some, and I didn't know whether we could go and cover it
By the
now
way,
or take it off.
Your SWAT team medic actually rendered medical care to your board lawyer. Back
him
a
going.
few weeks ago.
There you
It
go.
was very much appreciated, so I'm glad to have one around.
All right, I second.
All right, got a motion and a second, motion by, who did the motion? Did you?
I can, or
No.
I can
You
abstain
did
from
the,
it. if
Jay
I
did
like.
the second. Did you do the second?
Daniel made,
I'll make a
motion.
All right, Brad makes a motion, Daniel.
That's simple
I mean,
It doesn't matter. It
Jay
doesn't
seconds
matter.
it.
We all vote to go to our own conferences anyway, so I mean, it's
Jay
not any
second.
different.
Any more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
Keith, you gonna take over Caroline?
yep. Where is she? She's not here. Anybody doing Caroline?
I guess I will.
Okay.
The first item under the tax collector is authority to pay the 2021 MACA membership dues for the tax collector in the amount of $1,000.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved, Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, item B is the request to void the 2019 and 2020 tax sales and refund any tax sale purchaser for the properties with the following PIN numbers as listed. They're under bankruptcy and should not have been processed through the tax sale.
Make a motion.
Motion by Brad,
Second.
second by Jay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Mr. Sullivan, who's gonna do him?
Call me John.
I guess you're gonna be John today.
All right. First item under the tax assessor portion, item A is petitions for change of assessment on the 2020 real and 2019 and 2020 personal property assessment roll is attached.
So moved.
Motion approved, Mr. Bishop, second by
Second, yep.
Daniel. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? B.
All right, item D is request to void the 2020 tax sale and refund any tax purchaser for parcel number with the PIN 80194 and request a new tax statement for the PID assessment only. And the interest and penalty, without interest and penalties, be issued to Joshua Neal Harris, Jennifer Oyama Harris, who are the legal owners, and this was due to a clerical error.
Somebody approve that.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by
Second.
Brad, second by Daniel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And item C, request to void the 2020 tax sale and refund any tax purchaser for parcel with the PIN 82803. It was erroneously assessed with an incorrect legal description and the incorrect name for 2019 tax year, and to request that a corrected 2019 tax statement be issued to Ronnie Trigg Jr. and Shahira Brown.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Brad, second by Daniel. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. All
Aye.
opposed? All right, Mike Harrison.
Yeah, I'm here to give you some relief. Thank y'all. I'd like to request approval for Bay Springs Telephone Company to install a fiber optic between County Line and Leo Vanderpool Road, District 3.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved by Brad, second by Jay. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Then approval for Telepac Network and ceasefire utility permit to construct fiber optic telecommunication between North Shore and Spillway.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
approved by Daniel, second by Jay. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Discussion of potential action buying a sweeper truck for the road department from surplus property. This is a vacuum truck that's over at surplus property, and I'd like to be able to buy that for
What are we talking
How
about,
much
money?
is it? Yeah,
85,
85.
100?
Yeah.
100?
100,
Okay.
yes.
Well, that 85 could have been, you gotta, I mean, that could have been.
Well, I mean, I
wait,
started
another
at
zero.
85,000 and we can work down to
Well, I mean, that's
8,500.
crazy, had another zero on it. Is this for, like, where will this be used?
Jared, it'd be used for multiple things, sweeping bridges, cleaning up on debris on bridges. Like
Sweeping, yeah,
Hey,
sweeping sidewalks.
I was
and
also
drains.
gonna fall back up the bike trails.
Yeah, it'll be able to do the bike trails. We'll use it when we're chip sealing and vacuum rocks and different things up, so we're not having to sweep it off in yards. and different
8,500, that's a heck of a
No,
deal.
8,500, I'm okay.
Yeah.
85,000, I wasn't.
About how much is it gonna take to keep it up to speed?
You know, it seems to be pretty good. I mean, it's low hours. I mean,
What's
like
the
the
one
truck's
local
got
we
like
get it, huh?
6,000 miles on it.
How many?
6,000 miles, and unit's got a couple thousand hours on it. It come off.
What was it? Was it military or?
Yes, sir, it's
Well,
military.
it hadn't been used that bad.
Yes, sir, it's just been there. We checked it out, as far as we can check it out, the vacuum, everything works. I mean, we'll have to buy some broom heads and service it, maintenance and stuff.
What are we looking at, like to insure it and all that, to add to it and all? I mean, it's just, it's not some
It's
real
liability.
big item, huh?
It's just liability.
Yeah,
Rock through the windshield. Oh, yeah.
It shouldn't,
Yeah.
though, anything, it's sucking it up.
yeah.
And
That's
for the
good.
board's awareness, we've averaged spending almost $9,000 the past 3 years renting the same
Yeah.
equipment.
So this
Paid
is,
for
this
itself
is,
1 year.
this is not just a sweeper, like the broom sweepers that you're using on the.
It's a
Vacuum.
vacuum, it's a vacuum.
Yeah, it
debris up.
vacuums it also.
Yes,
Will it be able to get up on the, like, bike trails?
yes, sir.
Oh, really?
We'll be able to do those, and we'll be able to clean the bridges off.
Has it got an arm that reaches out?
No, the what?
It just kinda scoots
Bike
over.
trails in the road.
Yeah.
The broom
You're talking
kinda,
about sidewalks too.
No.
No.
Bike trails.
no, we won't be able
So
to
you
get them
said
on.
trails, you were talking bike trails.
Most of them are on the road at the reservoir.
But like the other day before the ice storm, we had everybody go around hand clean the bridges. You know, we could've took this truck and swept everything up
Yeah.
and done that.
Well, 8,500, I
That's a
think
no-brainer.
we can do that.
Make-
Second.
Motion
you.
approved by, Mr. Bishop, second by
Daniel.
Daniel and, Brad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Tim Parker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item today. It is approval of two state aid program, SAP programs. One is a mill and overlay project, and the other is a scrub seal, micro surfacing, and ultra thin project. The overlay project will do nearly 12 miles of overlay, and the micro ultra thin will hopefully catch about 21.5 miles.
Wow.
Total cost?
The total is $6,060,500 is the estimate for the program. And that's state aid monies. That pretty much exhausts your state aid funds.
This is our complete state aid.
Your SAP money, yes. Yeah, you have SAP money and you have LSBP money. The LSBP money is going to the two bridges to be replaced, and this is the SAP money.
Sounds good.
Motion approved?
Motion approved by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second by Mr. Calhoun. All in favor say aye. All opposed? All right, Mr. Slate.
First item under my section, gentlemen, actually A and B together, if we can do that, is to set public hearings for January 28 at 9 a.m. This is for nuisance property considerations. You see those there. If we could take A and B together, that'd be
So
good.
moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Cross. All in favor say aye. All opposed?
Item C, gentlemen, is some follow-up work. We tendered to our circuit clerk the petition for the expansion of the Cleary Fire Protection District. The circuit clerk has now sent back a certification that the petition qualifies under Mississippi law, and therefore we are in a position now to be able to move forward with that process. That process requires that this board set a public hearing, which you can see as a part of this agenda item is set for February the 15th at 9 a.m. You're also authorizing the publication of the appropriate notice of public hearing. The only thing that we're waiting on at this moment is a delineation for use in the publication of the notice of public hearing of the actual area of the proposed expansion. We need to reduce that to somewhat of a legal description of some type so that the public can be notified as to the area itself. And so when that is received, we will make sure that the staff has that available and can submit it to the paper for publication. So I would need a motion on item C for all of the requests that are set forth.
Make a motion.
Motion by Brad, second by Jay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Couple of items, gentlemen, if
Hey,
I may.
hang on one second, Slay, while we're here, hey, where are we at on the fire station, money-wise? Are we still north of 350? Just wonder, you remember the total? I know you ran those numbers. What's our cost of that thing right now we're at?
It's,
We're still at 300,000. Still, what still has to be done? Keith, do you know what still has to be done there?
Yeah.
What?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, tell me.
We're putting in the septic system, I think you were, or treatment plant. I think you were here the other day for that. We got that to put in.
What does that cost, ballpark? I have no idea.
It was about
2,600?
And then, this is something that I found out the other day was quoted by one company that was, gonna do the AC work. But evidently it was taken out when, Ben quoted it, from what I understand, because it wasn't in the quote that the AC company did the heat and air, which that was for like the community room or office space, bathroom, etc. What he left out was they were going to put some type of heater in there to keep the building not warm, but below, above freezing because the truck came.
In the bay, right?
Yeah, in the bay.
In the bay?
And somehow that got excluded. One company had it on their list, and then the company that bid it didn't have it on their list. So I've asked them to see what something like that cost, and I don't know what that cost.
Like an infrared heat or something?
I'm assuming it's going to have to be, I guess, electric because.
Is it propane or gas, though?
Well, we could have, and that's what I'm going to ask them. you know, initially, they talked about that because, you know, Rodney Hurden, which, he was with the gas company, and he had that unfortunate accident. And the talk kept going, well, we probably get a good deal on gas. And then, you know, when all that happened, I never heard any more about it. So, but it could be, without a problem, they could put a propane tank in there without any problem. So I think I'd like to see what it costs to compare the two of a gas and electric on what you're talking about, like the bay heater. It'd be like one bay heater.
So what else is there after that?
Really not much of anything. I don't know.
You know, are we close to finishing?
Huh?
Are we close to finishing?
Yeah, that's what I just told you.
I didn't know if that's close or not. It doesn't sound close.
Really?
Well, it doesn't sound like we can occupy it yet, right?
Yeah, you can back up in there right now if you want to.
Just could freeze a truck, so it's not.
Well,
Which you wouldn't want to do that because that costs us $250,000.
well, all we'd have to do is, guess we just need to get the heating deal then.
So-
Treatment plant should be put in this weekend.
Which is a couple grand, right?
Treatment plant's
then,
$2,600.
all right, so $3,000 for that, and then I guess the heating and cool side of that. How much does that cost? Do we know?
We've already done that. We've already done heat and cool.
In the building, nothing in the bay, right?
No, right. Just the base of what's like.
I was just thinking, are we going to be able to keep it under 400,000? That's kind of my question.
Actually, we're not where that is. If you're including the road, that doesn't include the fire station.
We're north of 300 right now on
Which
a
includes-
175 project.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Which includes about 140,000 of that's the road.
Yeah, we straightened the road that we didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, we knew, yeah.
There you go.
That was totally separate,
There you go.
totally separate.
For the fire station, right?
So what,
Yeah.
no, wasn't just for the fire station. The roads would start the whole project. But we don't need
I
to
thought-
keep going down this whole path. You've already been down it once, so let's just,
Well, it came up on the agenda right here, so we're voting on the district. So I just thought I'd ask
Right.
about the fire station.
yeah, that's good. Well, what
All
else
right,
you need?
Greg, what else you got?
Really just a couple of updates. One, first, I'm expecting Trey to be here within the next 20 minutes.
Did we,
and
did we vote? We did vote on C, didn't we?
I have, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We have
Okay,
motion and
okay, okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
We did the motions.
Huh?
We did
Did-
vote on
did
that.
they
Yeah, we
vote?
did.
Brandon J.
Yeah, we got the motions, I just didn't know if
That's
it.
what I said. I didn't know if we.
Yeah, I think we did.
We voted.
And then
I thought we
Daniel said, hold
Okay.
up, I want to ask something.
I usually try to make sure before I keep going that y'all have actually voted, so.
Right.
So Trey will be here within the next 20 minutes or so, and we need what I hope will be a short executive session to go over a few litigation matters with you guys. And so be prepared for that, but he will be here shortly. Recently, you guys approved the purchase of property for expansion of an additional station for the Puckett Volunteer Fire Department, and I wanted to give you guys an update that that process is being moved forward. On the claims docket today, you authorized the issuance of the check payable appropriately to the folks that are in control of that property. And I have the original of the deed with me today, and I'm going to leave that with Ms. Janice, and my hope is that we'll be able to complete at least the purchase portion of the transaction very soon, within the next few days. So I wanted to give you a quick update on that. That project's moving forward. Steve is not here, but I wanted to give him a quick update. We've got what we hope will be the very last of our right-of-way that we need on the Stoll Road project. So I'm mentioning this for purposes of the video to give you guys an update, and my hope is that Steve will be able to hear this as well. And so we're making efforts. We had one particular issue that was specific to an individual property owner that needed to be addressed. I've now prepared the document so that it does address that concern, and my hope is that we'll be able to complete the right-of-way acquisition and then be able to move forward with what you guys have already authorized with respect to Stoll Road. That's an important project for Steve, and I think for the rest of the board as well. So those were the two items that I wanted to give you a quick update on. We'll have some additional information for you in the executive session.
All right. You got a whole list.
I do, I'm gonna stand up for it. Item A, First item under my section is the request approval to decrease the mileage rate, reimbursement rate, to 56 cents per mile for travel in private vehicles, and that comes down from the state.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved, Mr. Bishop, second, Mr. Cross. All in favor say aye. All opposed?
All right, item B is the approval of, to renew the workers' comp with Liberty Mutual for the volunteer fire and fire protection district departments, and that will be for a one-year period beginning March.
So moved.
Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Cross, second, Mr. Calhoun. Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Item C is to award the bank bid for the bank depository to Bank Plus as the county's primary depository, and also have Trustmark National Bank as an alternate for the two-year period ending December 31 of 2022.
Yep, so moved.
Motion approved by Daniel, second by Brad. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Did the community bid on
Did
it?
not.
They did.
Did not.
Hmm.
Item D is the approval for Rankin County to accept the lease purchase finance agreement with Trustmark National Bank for the purchase of one DuraPatch P5 pothole patcher at an interest rate of 1.62 and authority to execute the documents.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved by Jay, second by Daniel. Any discussion? Yeah, what did pothole pasture cost?
85.
Huh? No. I think it was 185.
About 210.
Oh. Okay, I was just curious, looking at that interest, okay. All right, no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, and item E is the authorization of the board president and myself to execute the amended agreement that was submitted by the CMPDD, and it relates to adding language for hazard mitigation plan updates and includes pandemic and health emergency to the original document that was approved last month.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second Cross, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, and then we received a request from the city of Brandon for use of the Rankin County voting machines in their municipal elections, April 6th, April 27th, and June 8th if needed.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved by Jay, second by Daniel. Discussion, I guess the next, under G is we're gonna bring up the
Yes, sir.
rest of the cities or something?
Have you completed your list? You
I
got
did.
it for all of us?
I do.
Okay, so I know they're all been calling.
Not yet. We're under discussion
All
at the
right,
moment.
anyway, all in
Do you
favor
have-
say aye.
Hang on,
Huh?
hang on, he's got a.
Well,
Well, that's
No.
the next.
That's what the next one is, Jay. That's what I was making sure it was under the next one.
All right.
yeah, let's approve F.
Okay,
Motion.
all right, most
Already get the motion.
approved, we already had,
Like what
Jay
you
and
said.
Dave
on their
already-
own.
all right, we already had a motion of
Yes.
everything, so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. G, that's where we're getting.
Brad's
at
already
now.
got one.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
There's been a lot of discussion on the county's pay for use of our voting machines. I think it's gone anywhere from $5,000 flat fee to $5,000 per machine. What I've come up with is trying to recover the actual cost to the county for the cities to use the machines. This is an example that you have in front of you. If a city wants one, if they have one ballot and they only want one scanner, then the minimum charge is gonna be $1,500. Now, the additional ballot programming, it's not based on it's based on recovering our cost as the county from our IT department's time. And, so one ballot, one scanner, $1,500. And as you add ballots and add scanners, it's gonna go up incrementally, $350 per ballot, and I think it's $200 per scanner. And that involves the time required for each additional scanner to test it and the time involved for each additional ballot to create. Now, the cities will be responsible. We will provide them with the ballots electronically, and they will be responsible for having those printed themselves. And the only additional fee on top of this would be if we had to provide support the day of the election. We have a rate that we would charge of $50 per hour on a quarter-hour basis.
So just so I understand, you got here, one ballot programming, $250. That's for one ballot?
That's for one ballot.
Okay.
So each additional ballot would be $250, plus we have to also create a file for them, so it's $350 per ballot.
Well, there's gonna be a minimum 5 ballots.
Correct.
At least.
Right.
Per city.
Correct. And I talked
If not more.
Yeah, and I actually talked to Pearl yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think the way we figured it, their cost will be about $4,350 per election, and she was excited about that.
Yeah, that's including all equipment, everything.
If they only get 5 scanners, or 6, I think, well, 9 scanners.
Say.
Yeah, they have 9, they do have 9 polling locations.
Okay, all right.
Can I ask one clarifier? Does this pricing also recognize and include an ADA scanner?
If they request an ADA scanner.
No, they don't get an option. They don't have a choice. They are required to provide an ADA scanner. So,
So each ADA scanner will be an additional $200.
okay, so that it's clear for you guys,
So that would be added on to this 15.
Yeah, when we produce a, and by the way, this is exceedingly helpful to have
Leave
it
it up
laid
to the
out like
attorney to
this.
get it all legal,
This
you
is,
know.
this is exceedingly helpful. Before
Fine
this is
print.
published
Man.
for consumption by the municipalities, we need to make sure that it's clear on the document.
Well, that one is different from the one we have.
It is, it has different numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can plug in numbers and, you know, if you have a specific situation,
Well, this
and I
is
can
the
give you a price.
baseline.
That's the base.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is the minimum, really.
We just need to make sure that it's on our document for, when the pricing sheet goes out to the municipalities for their
Yeah.
consideration,
All right.
edification, we need to make it clear to them that with this, they must provide access to an ADA machine, which has to be programmed, which has to be tested, which has to have ballot scanned through it, all of that. So they'll have to pay the freight for the ADA, whether they want it, doesn't matter, they're getting it because we need their elections to be compliant with federal law.
I think ballpark.
So you could say the bare minimum would be add $200 to that, and $1,700 for one regular scanner. Can the ADA compliant scanner also scan all the?
Yeah.
It can, the issue with using both of them is that now the vote capture information has to be, you gotta have both of the, what am I trying to say?
Totals?
The thumb drives. You gotta get into the system. If they don't have someone who needs to use an ADA scanner show up to vote, there is no reason to capture ballots or capture votes on that machine.
It just has to be available.
It should be there and accessible and tested and ready.
Okay.
But I would suggest strongly that we tell them, don't run ballots through that machine unless you have someone who needs access to that machine show up to vote.
So you decided to go with the $50 per hour on the election night or election day tabulations and everything?
Correct. I think initially IT had proposed a flat $1,000 fee per municipality. I didn't think, if we don't provide them a service, I don't think it's fair to charge them.
So I'm just trying to picture in my head how the night's gonna go, election night. Once they all come in and wanna get their results, how is that gonna go? I mean, normally whenever everybody gathers in over at the 911 building to get the results, and I would imagine there's gonna be people running for office that are wanting it, but at each precinct, they'll be able to get a tally, but that won't give you the overall picture, you know? So I think that there's gonna be some people at night there wanting to have access to it.
To the information?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm telling IT they will receive the equipment
Yeah.
And as they receive it, they can schedule that with the cities, and, or it could be a first come, first serve, and we'll get to them in line as they come in. Because we're gonna, right now, I think we're dealing with Pearl, Richland, Brandon now, and we haven't heard from Florence and Comanche.
Florence is,
Florence will.
But there's your alderman right back there.
I know, I'm telling you.
Is that right, Brian?
Yeah,
Florence
we're
is
supposed
coming?
to discuss it tonight in the work session.
Okay.
In fact, can he have one of these take the work session?
Sure.
No problem.
So, James,
Everything is.
I think you done a good job putting all this together,
Yeah.
Keith. The only thing I would reconsider is that election night deal.
Well, now you have to remember, that's if we're required to go on site and provide them with some type of technical assistance.
Well, I get that part, but
Okay.
I'm just talking about the tallying part of it.
Right.
At the end. I think there should be something.
I wonder if maybe just a small flat charge to each municipality that is participating, that is designed as a cumulative total to cover our actual costs. Maybe $100 per municipality will generate enough to cover your actual cost for IT or whomever to generate the election results at Election Central on election night.
And that's kind of what we're
The 50
allotting.
hour is.
Yeah, we're allotting 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
to perform them coming to pick up the.
Oh, that's what that is at the end, okay.
Yep, that's what that is at the
Same
end.
thing.
It's,
All right.
that's 2 hours
Oh, that'll probably
of our
work out.
You
time.
get to the same result.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
All right.
So I just wanted to present that to the board, see if there's any questions.
$1,700. Well, actually, it's gonna be more than that.
Yeah, because you got, this is figuring one ballot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
and-
add,
Why don't we let Keith revise?
well, I think you got the base and they, how many, how many.
They know how many ballots they
machines
got
gotta
there.
have, yeah.
Huh?
It's not even that, just how many people run and you have Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but they know that.
All right.
Gives them
Looks
something
good.
to work with
I make
here.
a motion to approve this baseline price he's come up with.
All right.
Second.
Motion approved by Jay, second by Brad. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, and the last item, if you remember, over the last couple of months, we've been discussing the energy service possibility for a company to come in and give us an estimate on updating, upgrading, and I kind of wanted to just review the process with the board, let you know where we are. Right now, we are past this point. We're kind of right here in the middle. And it's going to be up to the board to decide whether to move forward. And I just want to kind of throw out some facts and figures. What I've been told by ABM is the county could expect an annual savings of around $150,000 on the electric bill. That's currently running about 20% of our annual utility cost. And that's all buildings owned by the county that the county pays utilities.
Is that just doing the lights?
That is a comprehensive estimate from that company for all utilities, water, light, energy, natural gas, all utilities.
We never really got to this part, you know?
Okay.
I mean, they took our bills and they said they had an amount ready for us, but they never actually presented it.
Correct.
That was before, you talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm assuming that's where he came up with the $155,000, was using that prior information. Otherwise, I don't know where he would have been able to come up with an estimate.
Well, you know,
Well,
during that time frame, we had some generators and some AC units that we wanted to get swapped out and do some lights, but I think we've replaced most of the generators and the air conditioners, and we did part of the lights at the livestock, which I know there's still left to do. And I know that, you know, obviously we could replace a lot of these lights, it'll probably help us, but other than that, I don't know what else there is that we really want to
Well,
get into.
whatever savings it be, let me ask you this.
Okay.
This is what I can't
Tater does that anyway, doesn't he?
And I want to address there's no fees up
Okay,
front.
all right, go ahead.
Okay. The way the process works is they come in after we notify MDA that it's our intent, the board's intent to go forward with this. We send MDA a letter saying we're moving forward. We put out an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications for companies that are able to do this. If we decide to move forward. Once we review the qualifications and pick a vendor, there is no cost to the county at that point. However, once we pick a vendor, we get to this stage right here, and this is basically a contract that says, we agree for you to come in and do an in-depth study, which then they come up with the actual numbers that they will provide guarantees on, okay? Once the letter intent is signed, the letter is going to include a back-out clause. If the county backs out anywhere after this letter, it's going to cost the county a fee for backing out. So if you decide to move forward and we get to the letter of intent signed, we're on the hook for something. Now,
We don't know what that something is.
I can give you an example. One of the counties gave me that their back-out fee was over $10,000. Just to decide not to do it. If they decided not to move forward, it was going to cost them $10,000. It was a much, much smaller county than Rankin. So
we can't get a scope of work prior to all this?
not until they do not until you sign the letter of intent. All right. The upfront cost or the project itself is paid up front. When they come back and say, we can save you $150,000 a year over 15 years and we'll guarantee it, well, that's when you go, and if you agree to do that, then what you're doing is you're contracting with the company that you selected after you reviewed the request for qualifications, and you're going to pay that contractor to come in and replace all your lights and do whatever modifications that you've agreed to. At that point, you're going to pay that contractor, and based on the information I have, they're guessing at $155,000 a year over 15 years, that's around $2.3 million. If it's a cost-neutral program, then you can expect somewhere around $2.3 million up front to finance over the next 15 years. To pay the
So what does it actually cost us up front?
2.3. My best guess is going to be around $2 to $2.3 million.
Okay, but,
Financed over 15 years.
okay, but then then how are the payments then?
The payments, you're going to have a capital lease that we're paying an annual, we're going to go borrow money or we're going to pay it and pay ourselves back, either way. Because what they're saying is we're saving $155,000 a year, so we're going to not pay as much in utility, but we've got to pay the loan back because the contractor's gotten their money up front. Because they've replaced all the
So we're paying
lights.
it back with the money that we're supposed to be saving?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. That's the way we're paying it, okay.
Yes, sir.
Then
Now,
in 15 years, it'd be something new come out to save us more money.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it ends up washing.
That's right.
and
Or you've moved out of that building. And you're in a new.
And the alternative is, I'm willing to do a study internally and maybe come up with a 5 or 7 year plan within. All the counties I've talked to that have done this project or done this process had a specific project in mind, that they didn't want to raise taxes to go out and do that project. This allowed them to do an energy efficiency project on that structure or building or area to not raise taxes and just borrow the money and pay it back.
Jay, you raised a question about whether internally our own in-house folks could just implement some sort of change out and do it in-house. And I think that merits further discussion.
Well, I think we could actually, if we really want to, do these lighting projects, we could go straight with one of these electrical companies and go to a warehouse and get the same price that they're gonna get, and not have to try to do all these other things that I imagine they have done other places, like they'll wanna go into the jail and put all those valves on the toilets and everything, and.
Well, can you
change out
just
the-
pick and
the-
choose though? I
You
mean,
could-
can you do like, yeah, just say, don't do that. Don't do the water part, can you get just to the lighting?
You can limit the scope.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I will say they still want to see everything up front for the entire county. That question was asked.
But it wouldn't have, if we're gonna eliminate the water, I'm gonna say, we wouldn't have to, you wouldn't have to involve it, would you?
You wouldn't have to.
No. I mean, they wouldn't have to have that in part of it, it'd just be, the
Right.
scope would be lighting and AC or something, yeah.
You can do that.
The larger the project,
No more so.
presumptively, the better pricing
Sure,
they are eligible to get.
Sure.
They're buying more light fixtures, they're gonna get a better per fixture price.
Who did the one at the barn? The, multipurpose building?
Did y'all, Mike,
Yeah,
Harrison?
we did that in-house, Jerry. I mean, we hired an electrician, but we went to like Chris Haynes and Setco and got a quote on the LED lights and just changed them out. We had to figure out the voltage and everything. You gotta get an electrician involved, make sure you put the right voltage in, but just in our warm-up fan, we changed out half of those, and we can see a significant savings in just electric bill, just going that way.
Yeah, sounds like it
We're
would be.
We're not trying to change out the commodes and the AC units and stuff like that, we're just going through changing out light fixtures
Yeah.
and getting money, if we got money in our budget to do it. We just buy the lights from the from the supplier, and buy our electrician to come in and do it. If we can.
All right,
So if you want to table the item for now and just think about it, and we can come back and decide if you want to move forward with a notification to MDA and RFQ, or if you'd rather internally, we undertake a study
But
to see what we can.
My opinion, before we go down this route, is I'd rather you internally do a study and see what your savings could be, just changing out the things that we talked about, before we go down that road. And if it balks and we can't make it work, then we'll look at this. But I'd like to let Ben take a pretty solid look at, Ben can do a lot of this stuff, I guess, with the right side of it, so
yeah.
I think that's my voice.
But if you're looking at, when we get down here and look at something else, I don't know why we couldn't, I know it changed, like I said, because of savings, but just identify what we want to look at, period. We don't want to do the water, we want to do just whatever, just identify that.
And if Carl were here, take for instance the renovation of the Chancery, well, it should bring everything up to the standards where we're gonna make those savings anywhere on the old Chancery building. The new Chancery building should already have all these changes in.
Right.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us use that either, when we discussed that at the time.
The part of the process that troubles me is, and I'm sure you guys, is the letter of intent issue and the
Without having
Back
any
out
scope
clause.
of work,
clause, the
that's
clause
crazy.
that requires some form. I get it, they've done a preliminary analysis, so you would anticipate that some of this backup clause is to cover that cost that they are incurring. Of course, they're telling you on the front end, we're gonna do all that at no charge to you. Well, it's actually in the backup clause, okay? So if you back out, they're gonna get some of what they have upfronted back.
I was in the mechanical business for a long time, and we were one of the first companies in metro area that started energy management. And first thing I would do would go through and do an assessment of what all you got. Your biggest user is gonna be electricity, and all we do in energy management is we shed the loads. We don't have everything come on at once, it's called shedding the loads. And the light things, you can do all those things yourself as well. It just requires, as Mike said, having somebody, electrician, somebody work with you. There are companies that you don't have to go through this whole thing for. You can go in, they'll tell you what they got. It boils down to controls and timing and all this kind of stuff and everything too. So anyway, but Energy management is not new. It started back in the 70s.
Well, actually, Larry,
Yeah.
whenever
No, I ain't
I
got
first
time.
got elected, y'all had went with Johnson and Johnson and did some kind of big deal, and I remember we fired them not
Yeah.
longer after because of all that.
Yeah, we fired, not y'all.
I said, we fired
We-
them.
Oh, I thought you said y'all.
No.
Yeah,
He said, y'all had hired him and we fired him. That's what he said.
I think that was more political than anything, Jake.
Okay,
No, no way.
Yeah. That was before I was-
gotcha.
When y'all was supervisor, did y'all have lights?
We had candles.
Candles.
Yeah, you say why do you, by just using kerosene. Anyway, I think the retrofit is a big deal. The retrofit is a lot of money and all
Okay.
that, but I'm like Craig, when that letter of intent is kind of,
It's a little
you step
scary,
off into
yeah.
it, and you.
Something that you don't know what you're gonna be paying.
There's a lot of information out there, management, how to shed things, and how to change things and save money, and your biggest thing is really, our building is energy management. We got, you walk in a room, the lights come on, you leave certain time, the lights go out. And the same way with the water and all that stuff, so it's set up for energy management for new buildings. But it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing.
You got the deal where the water just cuts off after, yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
great.
it's got the faucet
Keeps on,
cuts
leave it on,
and
right,
blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
It pays for itself.
All right.
Thank you, Keith.
Guess you're just gonna do a little analysis yourself then.
Yes, sir.
So, we'll just make a motion to table it.
Actually, I
It
would
was-
suggest, let's just show on the minutes that you discussed it and no action taken.
Yeah.
And that way you don't have to worry about bringing it again on the
Right.
next meeting. So let's just say no action taken
Right.
on that.
Okay. All right. Record show no actions taken on, what was that, H? Okay, additional business be discussed.
Gentlemen, may I?
Request your indulgence on one additional item that I think will only take just a second. Pearl School District has provided the original interlocal, actually got here today.
All right.
And so I would ask that we add to the agenda the approval by this board of the interlocal agreement between Rankin County Chancery Clerk, the Rankin County Board of Supervisors, and the Pearl Public School District regarding the use of the excess fee income. This is what we did with the Rankin County School District. This is Pearl's interlocal. It has to be a separate document. They've executed it. I would ask that you authorize the board president to execute the interlocal and that you authorize me to tender to the AG for authorization.
Make a motion to add this item.
All right. Motion to add this item to the agenda by Mr. Bishop, second Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second Mr. Cross. Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Hey, Slate,
Yes, sir.
ballpark the AG's timeframe.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's kind of hard to do because it's not in your control, but
That's true. Here's the reality of it. We're a year into this new AG. What I've noticed is that the timeframes on turnaround times, Daniel, is a little bit longer than the prior administration. When I have requested an AG's opinion, it's running about 8 weeks. The prior administration was running somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 6, so a little slower. I think it took a little time for them to ramp that opinions section of their office up and get it fully staffed. And so my hope is that those timeframes are going to improve. I expect, Daniel, that we're going to probably be in about the same time frame on the interlocal approval. I'm anticipating maybe 6 to 8 weeks on turnaround. I got a letter on Wednesday acknowledging receipt of the Rankin County School District and our request for approval of that interlocal. So that was about 10 to 15 days after I had submitted it initially. So that's just to let me know, hey, we got it
so
and
we're
we're
kind
looking
of
at it.
ballpark looking at March.
I think we're probably in March before we get full authorization. I hope I'm surprised.
You're warm
Okay.
weather. Okay,
So we're going to move forward with
all right,
with Pearls now.
So you have an executive session?
all right.
I make a motion to discuss the need to go in executive session.
Can we get an update on our app real quick, Brian? On when it's gonna be ready to go?
Of what?
What he's talking about is Civic Ready, our new mass notification system in Rankin County. We've gone through a lot of the training for the network admins, created groups for your SRT, a lot of the dispatchers and groups such as that. The other day, we kind of put it an internal test use on the snow ice event. And we noticed a few hiccups, and we were able to correct those, so we shouldn't have that anymore. So our goal, we're doing it internally right now. Our goal is to announce it to the public on February 1st through social media and, of course, the newspaper, we've already talked with them, and the news outlets. So the public will be able to sign up starting February 1st.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, okay.
They made a
Well,
motion to discuss the need.
Well, he just left. Yeah, I need a motion, discuss the need, discuss the need to go into executive session.
Okay.
Joe
so
made
moved.
that motion.
All right, to discuss, what,
We've got multiple litigation
Okay.
matters,
Okay.
both pending
all right,
and
I got a motion, to go into executive session by Mr. Cross, second by Brad. Any discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Hey, Brian, you want this?